We were happily exploring Melbourne City when we came across a heavy police presence near Flinders Street Station. Upon talking to them, we learned that there was a planned protest. So while I'm not particularly political, I found this extremely exciting. It reminded me of my university days. Ask me where in the comment section if you want to know more. So there was a planned protest in Melbourne city centre where people gathered to speak out against immigration. It was part of a wider movement, including events called Put Australia First, happening around the country. The anti-immigration protesters were expressing concerns about the pace and scale of migration to Australia, framing it as a threat to jobs, housing affordability, and social cohesion. Despite their concerns about policy and economic pressures, many political leaders and civil society figures have condemned the rallies, calling them divisive or racially charged. Being an immigrant myself, I'm often not sure what to make of all of this. So at the same time that the anti-immigration protesters were gathering, a counter-rally of opposing protesters also gathered nearby. This group is opposed to the racist and exclusion rhetoric, and they marched with anti-racism and pro-multicultural messages. Both parties must have felt very strongly about their causes, braving the rain to have their voices heard. Because the two groups were converging in the CBD and tensions were expected to flare, Victoria Police deployed a large presence, including riot police, particularly around places like Flinders Street Station. So despite the strong show of riot police, most reports indicate that the demonstrations were peaceful and that police largely kept the opposing groups separated and there were no violent clashes. This is subject to debate, but for me it showed a democratic state where there is freedom of expression and where people can disagree and still work together without fighting. It was also nice to see that the police were there to keep everyone safe and not to stop people from expressing themselves, which is a far cry from the protests I've been part of in my university days, that's for sure. Now, as to whether the protests were effective, well, they were highly visible, but perhaps the opposing messages diluted the strength of the message. The protests did not lead to changes in immigration policy or widespread public support, but I guess this can be seen as a win for the counter-protesters, I guess.